Aloha. Goodness me. Welcome to More Confidence. I have not been live with you guys for I feel like well over a month, and it's such a pleasure to be here. You might be able to tell, for those of you watching on the video, that I am well pregnant. You probably can't see all that well. I'm well pregnant. I'm about 34 weeks pregnant. So life is happening. Life is growing within inside of me. And that's probably mostly the reason why I haven't come and hung out with you guys in a little while. Really, I've been busy growing a human for someone else. So that's what I've been doing with my life. But what also I have been doing over the last really solidly, 12 months, but really focusedly over the last 3 or 4 weeks is continuing writing my book. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm writing a book about everything that you need to know to self-love. So I'm talking how to overcome the thoughts in your mind, how to be able to become your own best friend internally, how to deal with fear, how to overcome the darkest parts within us, how to get to know our bodies and love our bodies, irrelevant of whether or not they look the way that they want to look. And finally, it's a 3-part book, so mind, body, and then spirit. So it's really about coming into our wholeness, into our soul. So I have been very busy. Hello and welcome to everyone here. I've been very busy getting to work on writing my book. I'm hoping that I'll be able to birth it into the world in the next, I would hope, 2021. So if you're actually in the publishing world and you know anybody who would love my work and something like that, please do let me know. Happy to have a chat and see how it goes. But I've been thinking today, as I do, because I've been writing the book and it's really coming towards the pointy end of the book where I'm really defining and refining a lot of the ideas that I know were tried and tested within myself. So self-love is a skill. You can learn how to do it. And this is what this book is all about. The book that I'm writing is all about how we actually do it, the consciousness. How do we actually make ourselves stop hating ourselves? How do we reprogram our minds so that we actually come to a space where we can fall in love with who we are for real, not just for pretend, but ongoing in a beautiful existing kind of way. Hello to everybody who's just joined. Welcome. So we all have parts of us that we don't like. We just do. And for a lot of us, and particularly if you're earlier on in your journey, there's a whole bunch that you don't like about yourself. Give me a thumbs up or something to that degree if you resonate with that. There's probably a whole bunch that you don't like about yourself. And in fact, if it is earlier on in your journey, it's pretty likely there's very little that you do like about yourself, or very little that you've found. And dealing with that kind of darkness within inside of ourselves, dealing with ourselves and the part of us that we just do not like is actually the hardest part of self-love. Because it's really easy to love the parts that you like. Like if you think your hair's amazing, it's easy to love your hair. If you think that you have a really caring and gentle heart, then it's really easy to love your caring and gentle heart. What's not easy to love is your jealousy. What's not easy to love is your rage. What's not easy to love is your people pleasing, or any of the kind of neuroticisms and thoughts that you have in your mind. They are the hardest part to love. And in fact, typically what happens through the journey of self-awareness is that people tend to think that they want to get rid of those thoughts. That if I just stop having those thoughts about myself, if I stop thinking that way or stop behaving that way, then I'm going to come to a place of self-love. If I could just get rid of that, then I can self-love. We do this both internally, in terms of our thoughts and our beliefs, but we also do it externally. So if I could just lose that weight, if I could just get that partner, if I could just make that job, if I could just have that accolade or career achievement, then I can truly love myself and be happy. We do it internally with our thoughts and our minds and our behaviors, and we do it externally in that kind of way. None of these ways work when it comes to self-love. They just don't. You might feel it for a little while. You might feel connected to yourself for a little while, and it feels nice to be able to achieve things. I'm not saying that we can't go ahead and achieve things, but it's not going to lead you to self-love. If you are waiting for something else to happen before you love yourself, then you'll be waiting forevermore. Because self-love is really about coming to a place in which we love all parts of ourselves. We don't have to like all parts of ourselves. Let me make this really clear, because liking all parts of ourselves means that we don't have any room to change and grow and develop ourselves. But loving ourselves means that we accept how we got here. I have been a recovering people pleaser for the last 10 years of my life. Because I learned how to people please because I wasn't safe in my household emotionally to be able to be me. So I molded myself to be able to keep everybody else happy at the detriment of me. I learned how to do that. Do I love being a people pleaser? Yes. Do I like it? No. I do not like that part of me, in the sense that I'm working on changing it. But I do love and accept it because it's who I am. It's who I've grown into becoming. In order for us to really love ourselves, we need to face each and every single one of our internal shadows. Each and every single one of the parts of us that we really want to get rid of, and show that part of ourselves love. Imagine, and this is how sometimes I kind of picture it, that there's a big long line within myself, from my heart backwards or from my mind backwards. There's a big long line of all the things that I think are shitty about myself. And each of them are just waiting in line for me to love them. So as jealousy rears its head, I stand there and I love the jealousy. And as it dissipates, the next thing in line to be loved will come up. It might be body image issues. It could be, as I said, people pleasing. It could be the fact that I, at times, don't stand up for myself, and I've been working on that. So the next thing in line to be loved is the thing that's present in your life right now. If you're finding yourself in a lot of fear, the more that you reject that part of you, the more that you are denying and the more that you're moving away from self-love. It doesn't mean that we have to accept that we are never going to change. It doesn't mean that that part of us is never going to evolve. But in order for it to evolve, in order for us to come to a bigger, higher part of self-love, we need to actually accept and love the parts of us that we don't like. They need our love, they need our attention. You see, whether or not you know this, you have an ego. Very often when it comes to the word ego, people think of, an arrogant kind of person. Oh my God, they've got such a big ego on them. The reality is we all do. And I don't mean from a point of arrogance. Let me make this really clear. Your ego is just your identity construct in your mind. So your beliefs, your thoughts, the way your values and the way in which you construct the world. Hey Lara, nice to have you here, babe. Is your ego. Your identity, your personality, that is your ego construct up here in your mind. That's why I'm visually using my head here, because the ego is from our mind. Each and every single one of us has one, yet we believe that we are our ego. We believe that the only thing that we are is our thoughts and our mind and everything that's coming up here in an identity space. The reality is our ego is simply the most dormant and immature part of our biggest, highest selves. Have you ever had an argument with yourself? Give me a thumbs up if you have. If you felt like sometimes you've been torn between your heart and your mind, or your soul and your brain, if you've ever had that kind of experience, you already know that you are bigger than your mind. But we're not trying to get rid of the ego. Big plane coming over, I don't know if you can hear that. We're not trying to get rid of the ego. We're not trying to get rid of the mind. What we are attempting to do here is to raise the ego. Because the ego is immature. The ego will find problems. The ego is looking everywhere it possibly can to find problems in your life. Sounds like a bit of a jerk, but its job is to just keep you safe. Its job is to keep you safe, and it wants the best for you. It loves you so badly that it wants to keep you alive, and it thinks that by keeping you safe from danger, from pain, from the darkness, that it is doing that. Because back in the day when we had saber-toothed tigers and weather that was awful and we would die from the weather, it served its purpose in that way. Yet now it doesn't need to serve the purpose like that anymore. So what it does is create lots of problems in our minds that most of the time are made up. Cue anxiety, cue overthinking, cue depression, cue a whole range of mental, conditions and illnesses that we experience. all those negative self-talk comes from the ego. And the ego just needs to be loved. The ego needs attention, but it doesn't need to be invested in. When we believe that the ego is all that we are, then the ego runs us. And from that perspective, we're unable to come into self-love because we'll always be stuck in problems. From the heart, if we can come back down into our heart consciously, when we consciously, hey Leah, lovely to see you, babe. When we consciously come into our heart and live from our heart, our soul, whatever you want to call it, that's something beyond the ego. It could be bigger than you. It could be a religious or a spiritual thing in terms of spirit or soul for you, or the universe. If we can exist in a space that comes from a love in our heart and then love the things that are going on in our mind, if we can love that ego, if we can love the thoughts, if we can love the parts of us that we do not like, then the ego learns to calm down. The ego actually learns that our hearts are the ones that are in charge. The ego is never meant to be in charge. It doesn't like it. It freaks out. It's like having a really neurotic CEO who just sees problems everywhere and can't find solutions. Not great for our internal company. The way to find the light within ourselves, the light that you are seeking and the love that you are seeking within inside of you, is to go into the darkness. It seems counterintuitive, I get it. But when you think about it, the only reason why something is dark is because there's currently no light in there. So we need to go into the dark and bring our light to it. And our light is our awareness. If we can bring our awareness to the shitty parts of ourselves that we don't like so much, and then have some kind of capacity or attempt at loving those parts of ourselves, then we are so much closer to finding true, authentic self and self-love. What do you think? As I said, this is all explained in my book, and my book is not ready by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm pretty well there, like in terms of first draft. I'm about 90 to 100,000 words into this book, and I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited to be able to teach you everything that I know about the mind, about how we unravel everything within our mind and our ego. How do we come back into our bodies to be able to love all those parts as well, and how do we integrate that into our soul so we live from a heart-centered space, from our truest space. I'm really excited. I'm hoping to be able to bring it to you in 2021. That would be absolutely incredible. But stand by, keep watching me on the socials. I'm on TikTok as well. So if you want to, if you're in a TikTok trend, head on over there. I think it's lunaguy_more confidence or something like that. You'll figure it out. Let me know if you can't. That's my share for today. It's been an absolute pleasure being live on here today. I feel like it's been too long between drinks, and I will come and hang out with us more and more again. I love you. Keep loving yourself. Keep finding the space within the darkness and the courage to be able to love you, because the truth of the matter is that you are love and you deserve love no matter what or who or whatever your mind thinks. Your ego is just trying to keep you safe. The truth of your heart is that you are love. I love you. Adios.